This was a rapid game played earlier this year. Carlsen had the white pieces, Aronian had the black pieces. Aronian chose the Petrov, and Carlsen went for the Nimzowitsch attack with knight c3. So black takes on c3, Carlsen recovers the knight with his d-pawn. Bishop e7, bishop e3, castles, queen d2, standard play, so white intends to castle queenside and launch an attack on the castled black king. Let's see how Aronian handles it. Knight d7, maybe heading for f6. Castle's long. c6, supporting the d5 square for a pawn push. h4, getting ready for the attack. Now, in addition to pushing the pawns forward, white can also play to post a piece on g5, supported by that h-pawn. So there's a lot of pieces pointed at that g5 square. Notice black hasn't pushed any of his kingside pawns, so there's no hook into the position. Black plays d5, bishop d3, rook e8, maybe vacating a square for a minor piece. Rook de1, knight f6, and now knight g5, posting a powerful knight on the g5 square. Carlsen has a very particular plan in mind in this position. Let's see what it is. c5, that's an interesting move. Perhaps he's trying to keep the black dark squared bishop off of d4. Maybe he was afraid of bishop to d4, bishop takes f6, removing a defender of h7. Or maybe black is just threatening to push his pawn to c4 and drive this bishop off of its nice post. Okay, although that would create a big hole in the position on d4. Carlsen didn't want to see the move c4 coming, so he played c4 himself. And then Aronian took the time to attack the knight. And this is what Carlsen planned. He plays c takes d5 and ignores the threat on his knight. Okay, he says, go ahead, take my knight. I'm going to open up the h file and attack. Maybe I can get my queen over to the h file somehow. Putting the pawn on g5 will drive that defending knight away. There's already a bishop pointed at h7. So go ahead and take my knight, Carlsen says. Well, Aronian tries something that seems a little clever. The engine didn't like it, but he tried c4 to lure the bishop off of the d3 square, so it's no longer pointed at h7. But Carlsen takes the pawn and allows his knight to be taken, which I believe is a mistake. Black shouldn't take that knight. And then h takes g5, attacks the knight on f6, and the knight comes to e4. Probably not the best move in this position, knight to e4. I think that just drives the queen where it wants to go. Queen to d1 is good because then it's pointed at the h5 square. Bishop takes g5, queen to h5, threatening mate on h8. So black has to do something. He starts by checking the white king. Rook takes e3, and then f5 to gain an escape square for the king. d6 check, releasing a check with the bishop. Bishop to e6 to block, and now queen to h7 check decides the game. Whichever square black moves to, he's going to lose. He chose king to f7, and I think he resigned before white was able to move. The point is, white has the move queen takes f5 check in this position since the bishop is pinned. King will move back somewhere, and white will get the knight, and white is up 3 pawns in this position and still has an attack on the black king, so it's an easy win. There's a more spectacular win if black moves his king to f8 In that case, white still has queen takes f5 check, followed by taking the knight, even though the bishop isn't pinned, not in an absolute pin anyway. If the bishop does take the queen, then there's a mate in one with the rook. Okay, so either way, Carlsen would have won. All right, thanks for watching the game.